There we go. Welcome to the front row seat where it's all about you because you're doing it. Sometimes we're not aware of what we're doing because we don't understand how this reality works yet. So if we're ignorant of what's happening, there's no fault or blame anywhere. We're just doing our best. But I think that we're doing it, and so I'm going to stick with that one. Well, there's Pamela. How are you doing today?
I am very good, my dear. How are you? We're already laughing.
I'm doing very well. I've been working on a couple of things, and it seems to have unlocked a couple of areas of inquiry that's been very interesting. And so I've been working on that, and also just doing your other things that you're doing along with it. So I am just moving and grooving, and still working out what is this reality and what is all this shit.
Yeah, seriously. Uh, yes.
Yes. So, I was wanting to, bring up this concept that I kind of, came up with, and then I'm going to just kind of talk about it, and then tell it to you because you're pretty far ahead in this, study of what reality is. You've been working on it. You've been curious about it. What's going on here? Because you kind of saw some things that didn't make sense. So when I'll just kind of go into it, and then you can ask questions around it. How's that?
Awesome. That's amazing.
Okay. So
Perfect.
here's what I was doing. Now, as everybody knows, I was influenced by a lot of people's work, and I've been studying because I've been curious about the nature of reality for a very long time. So I've been through all of this stuff, and then I kind of ended up in Tom Campbell's work, his big toe, his theory of everything. And in Tom Campbell's work, he says it right there. He says, "Don't believe me. Use your own evidence and come up with your own big toe." So I think this is
Yeah.
what happened here. So I was walking through the forest, and then all of a sudden, I just thought, wait a minute. This consciousness thing is just coming to the forefront. Consciousness simulation theory, consciousness. So I have looked around at it and experimented with it because everything's just an experiment anyway at this point. And I looked at it, and in Tom's theory about getting rid of your fear, I would agree with that. That one does change your reality, and it does make things different in your reality. It's not easy to do, but with a little bit of practice and working at it, it can be done. And so the other thing that Tom's theory says is, what is consciousness actually? And and his answer is, well, we can't know what consciousness is. We'll never know what it is because we are it. We're consciousness. So we can't get outside of ourselves to see ourselves. So that was kind of the thing there. And I was walking along, and I just had this thought. It's like, there's these ancient religions, and they talked about chi or ki energy, they talk about it in like martial arts and things like that. And there's even like something called like qi gong, where it's a exercise practice that moves the energy in your body. And so I was like, well, what consciousness has already been discovered a long time ago, and it was talked about. What if consciousness is chi? What if consciousness is this chi energy? So I thought about that for a minute, and it was really interesting. Then I kept going. It's like, wait a minute. Okay, what if you put those two together? What if the chi energy and the computer thing? Okay, what if it's like a computer, and your chi energy, that's what you are, and but the way it works and how you interact with this reality is based on what you focus on. And that your focus, that is your intent, that is what you're thinking about, and that's where this energy is going at all times. Whatever you're focused on, that's where it's going. And so I thought about that for a little while. And then I moved on from that. And then I started thinking, okay, so every every subject that I focus on or think about, what now this is just all a theory, and it's just, trying to work out this thing. So I thought, well,
Mm-hmm.
what if wherever my focus goes, it's like my consciousness, my chi, whatever it is is creating an IP address, just like a computer. So in a computer, you pull up your screen, then you put where you want to go into the thing, and then you Google it, and then it brings you that information. Well, what if we're doing the same thing? When we're thinking about something, when we're focusing, that's like putting that into the Google bar, and it's like an IP address. And then you, as a consciousness chi energy focus, creates that whatever it is in your mind, right? You've created an IP address. Now, then every time you go to that IP address and you think about that IP address, again, you're thinking, all those thoughts that you're thinking is coded into that IP address.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So now with that IP address, how does then, so how does that work with, okay, we attract someone with our vibration, right? Through the energy. They tap into our
Oh, hang on, we're having some vocal issues again. Let's
okay,
see.
better if I don't move so far away.
Yes, there you go.
Okay. So how would that function if it's the IP address and we create the IP address, where as far as like the action, how does someone else tap into the IP address? Do we share an IP address? Do we just simply create a infinite amount of IP addresses? And do you know what am I making sense with the question? Because so I guess I'm asking because we attract because of our focus, right? So then we bring it into our reality. So you're saying that you're thinking that.
Oh, you moved away again.
So that creates the IP address, right? The focus. And then would that be almost like, oh, there's so many questions, like querying the database, but well, not really. But okay, so I guess how would an interaction work then? How would an interaction work?
Oh, that's a good
Like
question. I
how?
haven't thought about that aspect of it yet. I've just been kind of experiment with it, I mean, what I was doing is I got a piece of paper and started writing down what IP addresses I would find myself out throughout the day. So it's not an infinite amount of IP addresses. It's kind of your patterns of thought and what you think, right? Because we have patterns and we think similar
Oh yeah.
things unless we work on it and try to change those patterns, right? And so
Yes.
I started writing down the IP addresses, and then I could see where each one had this data around it. And I was like, oh yeah, that's connected to that. And each one was a specific, you know, place in my mind where I'd focused, and there's energy there. And then while I'm there again, it's focusing energy there again, right? So I haven't gone that far with it, but so if the other person and when you create these IP addresses in your mind and you're focused there, well, if you're focused on another awareness that's here, another human, then they would be, at the deepest level. They can feel those connections. They couldn't tell you exactly what you're thinking about or what, but some people can. Some people can totally feel when someone else is thinking about them. I'm one of those people. I can feel that. And I know when it's happening, and I can just send a text. And it's like, what are you doing? And because I just know. Anyways, but other people don't know. They're more unaware of it, and it's kind of underneath the layers. But I think that if you're at an IP address and it has to do with somebody else, I think that information just goes to them too. It's almost like to me, it would be like sending, you're at the IP address, and then if somebody else is involved in it, well, it gets forwarded to them too, energetically.
Okay.
Well, vibrationally, whatever you want to call it.
Right, exactly. Whatever
Ener-
metaphor you choose.
inner email. What is this? Now, I'm just thinking about this. I mean, this is just the whole,
No, this is awesome.
I'm thinking about how this could work with, the other things I've been working on. And because this way of looking at it explained a couple of things to me that I couldn't really work out. And one of those things is, the like willy-nilly nature of, your reality and how it manifests itself. Well, what if, you spent your day only focusing on the things that you want? And every time one of those old IPS address, well, think about it. Old IPS comes up from the past, right? So you start focusing there again. And if it was unpleasant, well, now you're connected to something, you've attached yourself, your focus, to something unpleasant. And then now you're putting energy into something that doesn't even really affect your life because it's from the past. Right? Oh, we've lost your sound.
I don't know what's going on.
I don't either. Because see, now it's okay.
Just check something really quick.
Okay.
I have.
I'll
see. That's awesome. That's freaking awesome. No, it should be okay. That should be okay. I don't know what's going on. Okay. Am I okay right now?
You're okay right now.
Okay. So now, okay, within this, what you're sharing with me, what about, would you kind of tap into like if it's already rendered? Because like what I was sharing with you before we started recording is about like what I have going on with me physically. And I'm like, is it stored information? Because it's been going on so long and I've been really working hard to process through stuff.
Well, all the information around your physical health, that's going to be an IP address.
Okay, so now
think about your avatar. It's probably, and it'll be like an IP address with all the different categories around it, right? My current health issues, health issues from the past, all of it. All of the data will be right there at that coordinate. And that's what I'm calling them, coordinates, right? So these IP addresses would take you to a coordinate.
Okay, so does some, and I'm serious, I really want to understand this stuff at such a amazing level. Like Tom just did one, or they just put up a new one with him. And it was really good. It was like 13 minutes, but it was about, the biology and the senses and stuff. And he's like, well, there really is no virtual reality. It's consciousness and the computer, right? But anyway, but where does the concept of it's already been rendered, therefore, so I want to make sense of if it's already been rendered. So I like this weird shit I have going on, and I'm working on, moving out of focusing on, but it's hard when you have like hives going on and your nervous system is whacked and, it's just weird. And it's so disruptive. Right. So I'm wanting to switch it over to, that focus my thoughts and my feelings on what I want to create, what I want, on my intent. So because this has already been rendered, does that impact it? Like it's already been rendered in this reality.
The things that are already rendered are going to be the things you focus on the most. Okay. So, I was in my room here, last night, and I was thinking, okay, well, what about the space I'm in right now? This is where my avatar is. My focus is on my room right now. Okay. My room in the computer is an IP address. Everything about my room is it's like a folder in there, You pull the folder out, okay, I've got a tapestry on the wall over here, and then all of that information is stored in that folder. So it would be the same with your health. Say, for instance, wonky going on. Well, every single time you think about the wonkiness, your focus is there. So, and you're concerned because you don't like what's happening, right? There may be some fear
Right.
mixed in with that too. So then that's making that vibration a little stronger every time you think about it, based
Okay.
on what we're talking about here.
So then, okay, so it's coming down to the basic fundamental, one of the fundamental pieces, focus, right? Like where you're putting your, okay, so now with that, if, how do I, because there's, okay, so if it's, yes, that's kind of correlates with my question about rendering. If I'm shifting out of focusing on it being something negative, which help me, how would I swing it? Okay, I get that I have to shift my focus. I get that. But in the process, so then I just have to do the same thing of getting rid of the fears. I just have to stick with it while I'm, I mean, like I literally get welts from my hives. I mean, from my, from my, yeah, my hives are like big. It looks like somebody scratched me and just weird stuff. And I'm wondering, like, what that was already rendered somewhere, right? Like in the past, it became a pattern.
Well, I see your
So,
cats in there, and it just makes me wonder because in my IP address, I have 3 dogs, and I developed a allergy. But I had stress too, and I think you add stress, then that kind of activates your system, and your
okay,
system gets kind of wonky, and then it goes into this allergy
okay,
thing.
here's my, because that's one of my main,
I'm not
to
saying
me,
you have to get rid of your cats. I'm just saying
no,
that
I feel like,
you know.
I feel like my body developed and it creates too much histamine as a response to stress or something, because this has been going on for a very long time. And I've noticed it when I go into the store, like, because
Right,
I
but
used
look
to get
how many times you're noticing it. You said it's been going on for a
what?
very long time. Look how many times you're noticing it. And every time you
Well,
notice it, then you're thinking about it. And then you said it's been going on for a very long time.
but how then do you find a resolution? So I guess that's my question, because we have, like, during our process of being here, there's got to be some things that we can do besides just, I mean, while we're shifting our focus, because that's a process to shift out of that, especially because there seems to be a lag, the mind leads, the body follows. So there's like a lag. So in the interim, I'm looking for things to help me alleviate some of the
Well, we all
experience
get rid
of
of things
this
that
messed up shit.
well, we all have to get rid of
What?
what's making us uncomfortable, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We've been trained that our thoughts and our focus is nothing. So we've been trained that way. So we haven't ever
Mm-hmm.
trained our focus to not focus in ways that make us sick, and not focus in ways that make us not have the things we need, and things like that. So because we have not been trained that way, our minds are just willy-nilly all over the place. So what's probably happening, you get a hide, and then you look down, and then you focus there, and now you're back at that IP address again. And it just keeps getting stronger and stronger and stronger. Now, I was sick too, and I did work my way out of it. And how I did it was every time I caught myself focusing there with concern, and
Well, I'm putting a good effort into switching it into, when it arrives, to healing instead of fear. So when it shows up, I'm going, I want to heal this rather than focus on it as a fear.
I'm feeling
But I
this.
think I need a better understanding is what I need.
Well,
Right?
and that's what I would do, and it did work, and this is in some of Tom Campbell's work about healing and stuff, and it did work because I put in the intent. I'm getting better every day, And then as I started telling them, instead of going to that old IP address with all the bad stuff in it, I would instead pivot and go to, I am healing every day. I'm getting stronger every day. And just those thoughts alone, I think, is what shifted me out of it, because I shifted out of there not long after that. And
Okay.
I had a lot of same problems with, allergies. And I think it's just an overactive, thing going on in your system, because I was in fight forever. So
you were what?
I was in fight flight mode forever.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And some days it wasn't as, activated as others, but it was still fight flight mode. So as I started to come out of that, and think about what I was thinking about, I started thinking other things, because at one point I had a belief, because I had this extra rib thing going on. I had a belief, well, my skeleton's broken and it's not ever going to work right. I'm always going to be sick. This is awful. What am I going to do?
Right.
How am I going to support? I mean, it was a big bucket if you wouldn't believe it, and that's where I was stuck there. And there was days I would think about it half the day. Because that was my life. I could hardly do anything. I couldn't move. And so here I am, stuck like this. And all I could think. Yeah.
Okay. So So because the mind leads, the body follows. There's a process. So I guess part of me is wondering, because like what you said a few moments ago about I'm almost 6 decades pretty much, that I've been in fight or flight. So as I am evolving out of that, is there because it's already been rendered, is there a response from my body to release this information? This is where I'm like,
information isn't in your body. You don't.
Well, right. No, I'm just saying. No, I understand that, but I'm just saying that as the body's structure, right? The information is my body. My body is information
in the computer,
right? Yes, right. It's a virtual reality. So my thing is that, I mean, we can just assume that, so when I say that, just know that I understand that I'm not really speaking. I'm just speaking to the whole dynamic of making sense of so it was rendered. And if it was rendered, the mind leads, the body follows.
Yeah,
right?
So, rendering it.
But so then that whole process of releasing the information, how does that work in the system? I understand that you're saying, and it makes sense, that it's my focus, but as I'm slowly releasing it, how is that information? So it just slowly has to dissipate. Okay. So piece by piece from the system, it just has to move out.
Think of it like a top, right? And you've been spinning this top. You're spinning it every time you think of it. You're spinning this top, giving it more energy. You're spinning. So that thing is really kicking. It's really going, right?
Okay.
Well,
yeah.
It's going to take a minute for that to slow down and stop.
Okay. Thank you. And I wasn't trying to be rude.
There's a lot of energy there. A
lot of Lord. Momentum.
And so every time that top shows up and it's whirling, you just see it for what it is and go, I'm getting better every day. And then you turn from it and don't even think about it anymore if you can. Go for a walk, do something, get away.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay. And I wasn't trying to
focus yourself there. And
right.
Because you choose where you're focused, because you have free will choice. That's what the choice does. You choose where to focus your attention.
Yeah. Right.
And wherever you're focusing, that's where it's going. So if you're focused on my health is shit, my health is bad, and there you are, spinning that top. Oh, this is terrible. I hate this damn thing. Then you got cuss word. And
Right.
so with that, so with that top, the
A
next time
lot
it
of them.
goes up and it's spinning, then what you would want to do is like, oh yeah, there's that top again. And you can even write
Okay.
down, hey, yeah, that's that IP address. I'm going to go over and create a new IP address that says this. I get better every day. I'm healing and I'm doing wonderful in all aspects of this healing road and journey that I'm on. I've been sticking with it and I am doing awesome. And everything that's happening now is just par for the course. It's going to get messy and jumbled up for a minute because I'm trying to do things in a different way I've never done before. It's not going to run smooth. It's going to glitch. It's going to.
Well, and I guess that's a point too, because I remember Tom was saying too, it's like, it reminds me of like, you have to, the entropy is going to get higher in the short term to lower it in the long term.
Yeah.
So that, okay. So, and if I'm jumping at you or whatever, it's just because I'm like, no, I want to understand this stuff. I just want to get it because I really want to make sense of it, and I want to, because my sister and I were talking and I'm like, I said, I really want to understand so much more on how to navigate through this reality and handle it in such a, from such an aware space. Right. And I understand it's the process, but just having more fundamental understandings like this, it's incredibly helpful.
Yes.
To help you navigate through it.
If you know what you're doing and you know how all this is kind of clicking together and
Yes.
your focus is not just a invisible thing that you just kind of hang out in your head. It just goes over wherever willy-nilly. Well, if you look around in your life, that's what you've got. You've got a willy-nilly life, and a splattering of this and a splattering of that. And if you look at it, what's the difference between really successful people? If you think about it, it's their focus and what they focus on. So I've met many entrepreneurs, and when you talk to as they go about their day, they focus on what they want, right? They're not focusing on what happened 20 years ago. They're not focusing on their focus is on what they want for their business. What they're creating now. They know that they create stuff because they're entrepreneurs. They create things out of thin air. They know how it works. And entrepreneurs, they know that their focus does things because they figured out how to use it and work it, right? And it's an internal thing for them. They don't need to understand it to just do it. They just, they just kind of got lucky and keyed into something they liked and they started focusing there. And then it just kind of went from there. And that's where I think a lot of it, especially like if you have kids and things, because when you have kids, you've got to kind of be focused in a lot of different spots at once. And, you're aware of this kid that's over there. You kind of know where they're at. Then the loud scream, okay, you got to focus there, And so I think it's different for, women and men in a way. But I think that's what these years is our opportunity to, kind of gain information because we don't have that going on anymore. Now you can focus, and then that's why Tom's always talking about meditation. And what does meditation do? It sharpens your focus. It helps you learn to be a better focuser because otherwise your focus is just jumping around all over the place.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
Yes. And so when you are able to stop and focus in one place, for a long time, that's when you're really going to start seeing, a lot of different things. And, if you just go through your day, write down IP. What am I focused on? What am I focusing on now? And then that will bring you more and more awareness about what you're doing. And if we are this focused, that's who we are and what we are, then that would make sense as to why it is creative.
Yeah. Well, and I think too,
peace is the focus. So it's whatever you're focused. And there's even that saying, well, you're going to get what you think about, whether you want it or not.
Yeah. Well, and I think that speaks to that I mean, most of the population doesn't understand they're running off of their fears, you know?
No,
So,
no.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's another
Oh,
piece of it too.
I'm gonna go to the store and I'm gonna get this, I'm gonna get that. But really the underlying motivation, what's the intent? Well, the intent is what's really happening is I don't feel good about myself. So I want to go and externally make myself better so that I can feel better. And because it's not an internal, you don't have an internal feeling of being
Mhm.
adequate or being okay. And so you're going externally to try to alleviate those kinds of fears that we all carry at some point or another, you know.
Yeah.
So your fear is a big driver of your behavior. So what it does, it takes over control of your focus.
Yeah,
And that's
exactly.
why
That's
you
what I
want to
was
get rid of
alluding
your
to.
fear. You want to get your focus back loose from those fears so that you can then
Ugh,
use your focus to get what you want instead of all the fears that you don't want.
exactly. You know, and that's, man, you know, again, it kind of goes back to, like you said, it's just going to get messy. It's raising the entropy and then to get everything reorganized and create that order for lower entropy.
But really, if you think
Okay.
about it, just in the last, 3 or 4 months, you know, you're starting to get to a place where you're not near as frantic as you were, say, 5 years ago. Just running
Right. I
away.
mean, yeah. I mean, I can even just see it at work where, I mean, I can feel my body. It's constantly, you know, on high alert and stuff. And so I'm really working on focusing on, like, because I'll go, oh, that person doesn't like me or that person. And I'm like, okay, whoa, 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 whoa. Wait, nope. You're not going in with that attitude. It's that it's okay if they don't like you.
Yeah.
I'm going, and accept that they don't like you. Accept that if because
Everybody's not going to
that's
like
just
you. You
how
know
it
that.
is. Well,
Everybody's
that's the
not
whole
going to
thing.
like you. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, it's like, and even if they don't like me and if they're rude,
What does it
it's
matter?
like,
That's about
well,
them.
it's okay. Well, and exactly, it's okay that they don't like you. I still want to share love by knowing my distance and all of that stuff. So, but I was really putting a great deal of effort, and I saw a difference in I just felt lighter,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So,
So
but
that's awesome.
it's,
You're figuring it out, and you're actually applying the principles of mind over matter, and we come from cultures that are our cultures in anywhere anymore right now are not healthy. They're not
yeah,
healthy. So you're not going into a healthy environment. It's not going to. So how can you expect it to be healthy when it's not? Okay, it's not. So a lot of people that you're working around, including ourselves, we've been disempowered. We've been removed from our ability to focus, right? With all these distractions.
yes,
That's why we're being bombarded. The, the less we focus, the more we have to have external things to enrich our lives and all of that kind of stuff. And so
yes,
here you are, everybody. And then when someone sees someone, right, and observes someone who is either charismatic and light and bubbly, and it looks like their life is they're just skating through it, and here you are glitching out all over the place, and you're just like, damn it, darn it. And then look at that person over there. They're having a great time. Well, I think I'm going to kick them in the shin. It's that. And really, the reason you're feeling that way is because you just want to be happy too. You want to have
right,
good feelings too. But what happens
absolutely.
if you disempower yourself, like, oh, she doesn't like me, so you disempower yourself. I feel less than because they don't like me. You've just disempowered yourself. And in a
Well,
way,
I equate it back to a fear of my worth, right? Like I don't have any value, I don't have any worth, because I can trace it back to that stuff pretty quick. Because I don't have a tendency, like I can catch myself really quickly, not I can pull it back from putting it upon others. That's I remind myself because that's not Yeah, I think I've gotten pretty good at that, right? But um you're right though, it is the focus and recognizing that I don't have to live there anymore, but it requires a lot of effort because you can just it's like this visceral resistance
Mhm,
to shifting out of it.
mhm.
It's kind of mind-blowing, really.
Well, yeah, and I think that there is this partness that the repeating patterns, it creates a familiarity, and so you don't have to feel this uncertainty. Humans don't like uncertainty. Fear of the unknown is a big fear that we have. All of us feel
Mhm.
that, and that's where I had some help with that one of just facing uncertainty with grace. It's like great living you, doing you, living gracefully with uncertainty. Because even though
Yeah.
I'm doing what I'm doing, I'm excited about this and that, whatever, I still, know that life is uncertain. Somebody can die. I mean, because that's what we do here. We come here, we live, and we die. Well,
Mhm.
some aren't living, some are just going through the motions, but that's the point. I think living is the point. The whole
Yeah.
but
Okay,
yeah,
so getting back to what you were about the IP addresses and would you elaborate more on that? Just because it's fascinating and I do want to understand. I want to
it is.
understand so much more.
It is fun. I've been having a lot of fun with it. So what I did is I started doing an experiment, and I got out a piece of paper. And I had this on one of my videos. But that's right as I was thinking it up on my walk. And I wanted to go into it because I think this is important. I think this is a way to train ourselves out of just focus all over the place. So get a piece
Yeah.
of paper and just put on there IP address, and then go through your day. You're doing whatever, brushing your teeth, and then notice where you're focused at. Just notice what you're thinking about and where you're focused, and write it down. And then do that 3 or 4 times throughout the day. And that will tell you where your focus is at, really. Because we're just going through the motions, right? And we're doing stuff, and our mind is just doing its own thing, right? You kind of drifted off into wherever, and you're not really paying attention to where your mind went. You're just doing this thing because we can get into these patterns where we don't even have to think anymore. It's the same thing as when you're driving home somewhere, you don't it's like you pull up in the driveway and you don't even remember how you got there. You don't remember driving
Mhm.
there. Because we can get this secondary automatic co-pilot. See, and that's what a lot of us are doing. We're going into this automatic mode of doing things in life. Because we've done it so many times, we can do it with our eyes shut, right? And I think that's
Yeah.
where this is being aware of what you're thinking. And that's, I think, is the basic
Absolutely.
principles of mindfulness. Mindfulness. Where is your
Yes.
mind? Because if you're always focused on your body and what it's doing and what you're doing for it or whatever, then you're never aware of what your mind is doing. You could be thinking all this negative stuff all day and then wondering why your life is, you know, turning into a shitstorm, you know?
Yeah.
And
Oh, I mean, it does come down to the discipline of your focus and I just consider it just like constantly redirecting myself. I'm like, nope, it's breaking those patterns, like,
yep, yep.
and
And
constantly
you're doing
redirecting.
that. But when you first start doing that, it's not going to be easy. It's not. I'm not gonna lie. It is because it's not. It's not easy. But you can do it. If I can do it, anybody
Right.
can do it. Because, really, my mind was such a mess that, I never would have thought that I would get it straightened out to the point I have. I had a lot of adversity. So, and I am a traumatized person, but I'm not a victim of anybody. I am a survivor of these things,
Right.
but I still come from that place of a traumatized person. It doesn't give me kudos over anybody else. It doesn't do any of that thing. It helps me to work harder right? So that I can heal and be the change I want to see and do the things I want to do with my life instead of wallowing in a victim mentality. That's
Right.
miserable. I did that and it's miserable. So that's no fun. I guarantee you. So you get rid of that. And if you do
Mm-hmm.
this work and start looking at where your focus is, then you can start creating the life you actually want. And I tell you, as a traumatized person, you're coming from just being in a washing machine your whole life to where you take that mass from your ship, then you start steering it yourself. There's nothing like it. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I've steered my ship into some cliffs a couple of times, but I did it and I was doing it.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
was exhilarating. I wasn't just
That's
being
awesome.
drug around by my feelings just willy-nilly.
Oh,
That's what
yeah.
makes it feel good.
That's old.
It's
That's
it's
just old
like you're
stuff.
walking down the road and these things just pounce on you. There they are, just because someone looks
Right.
at you and maybe they just stumped their toe and they've got a look on their face. They look at you and you're like, oh, they don't like me. Oh, shit. Oh, it's true. I'm inadequate.
Going back to the IP address thing. So would that be like, okay, so when I'm experiencing something and I'm like, okay, it's that fear, Pam, we got to redirect and focus on what you do want, focus on that intent.
I'm not
So
going to
that
here.
at that IP address, that's the file folder for that fear. Is
Yeah,
that kind of
whatever fear you have, you've got a coordinate. I look at it as a coordinate, right? It's a coordinate in the computer. It's somewhere that you've created that folder. It's just like creating a folder in your computer. So every time
Mhm.
you do something new, you pick a folder and then you write in it. Okay, this is for instance, I married this guy. And then all that stuff goes into that folder. And then there's, certain addresses that you go there. And it's like, see, you caused all that. And, it's just from
Interesting.
just the mind not being focused. And, a lot
Yeah.
of times, the religion is really interesting in India. They know that it's an inside job there. They know. And meditation is a big thing in India. It's a big thing. And here in America, we were never taught any of this stuff that your mind does anything. We just were born into the system. There's all these goofy ideas around who we are and all the different dimensions of, being human, who you're attracted to. I mean, it's just all of this belief stuff that's not really true. And then everybody's trying to match up with it, and they can't
Mm-hmm.
because it's not true fundamentally. Because we aren't just these avatars, we are mind. And I think specifically, we are focus, we are awareness. That's what we are. That's the piece of it that we are. And we're doing it because we are thinking about these things. And it's creative. It's like writing code, it's writing coordinates, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
we're getting that folder, and then we're just filing all this stuff into it unaware. So then what's
Right.
happening? When you're walking down the road, this file comes out because something in that file, it's a big energy. Something reminds you of that file. Boom, it opens. Now all of a sudden you're in that folder with all those
Mm.
feelings. I'm a victim of this person, and it's all there, right? Now that's where you are. So that's where your focus is. You're not even in your body anymore.
So so let's say you shift out of the the victimhood and stuff and you're completely accountable. You know that you're doing it, right? So is that because it's been rendered? Like how would that work? Is it still in the folder? The coordinates still there? Like how would that work? How does that I'm just curious because I want to understand more. And what are your
I think
thoughts
it's
on
like
that?
everything else, Um, think of it. This is the way I kind of can see it. Okay, you've got a record, right? And in between those grooves is where the needle goes around, right? And that's what it's playing. I think that these addresses have grooves in it, right? And it's real easy that if you've made a lot of grooves to that folder, you've
Mm.
been in that folder a lot, it's going to have a big groove to it. So anything that even reminds you of it, it's like boom, it's going to take you right there because that groove is so thick. And this is what I know. It's been a long time now. It's been 6-7 years. That when I was doing, the initial work, I was catching myself, going back to my old habits of thought, and then the same darn thing happened again. I'm like, I thought I could do that. And it's like, no way. It's got big groove on it, and so it's going to take me there, and it's okay. I've been there a million times. It's not scary there. I can get out of it, so it's okay. If my needle goes into that groove every now and then, it's been in that groove for almost 100 years. What do you expect? So then over time, it stopped getting caught in that groove because what you're doing over to the side of it is you're making another groove, right?
Okay.
Another thought, another IP address. So once you get strong enough and get past some of those fears, then you start making new grooves that bring you different results.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. It's again, it's like just creating a new pattern, right?
Yes. Yep.
So then and
it's not a great feeling, especially if we need certainty, right? Because when you're not in those grooves, those are your familiar grooves where you are familiar being. It's where you feel, it sounds bad, it's where you feel comfortable. But it's the familiarity of it, not the negativity of it. The familiar. Yeah, I love feeling rejected because that's how I felt my whole life. This is nothing new.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's like
ways that you can reject me so I can feel normal.
Yeah, it's that safe place, right?
Yeah, and if you got into a situation, where you just had a bunch of people around you that all of a sudden started treating you every which way that you wanted people to treat you, which most people aren't like that because we aren't good, remember? But you would implode. It would not be comfortable. It would be awkward for you.
Well, because then it would pull up the other, and some other fears, the trust fear and right. But that's actually a good thing because then it's showing you, oh, okay, so because that's kind of what is happening right now. Like it's being mirrored because I'm working with a bunch of pretty nice people, man.
That's
and
awesome.
It's, I'm not saying there's not going to be moments or anything like that, but I also talk with myself and I'm like, and when the moments are hard, show up for them. Be there without them. Be there without them even knowing. Just have that open heart and that love available and let them have that moment, right? Don't. So, but getting back to your point, that's how it's been where I'm like, oh my God, there's this like beautiful, group of people who are being very kind and patient. And I'm like, well, this is weird. I'm not used to it. And then I'm like, oh, but that goes to your trust fear. Excuse me.
That's why we keep getting the same type of relationships we've always had because that's what we're used to. That's what's familiar to us.
Yes.
And it's crazy. We'd rather have what's familiar, even though it's not really what we want, but we'd rather have familiarity. But it's also that resonance too. You're resonating at a certain frequency and it's attracting it right to you.
Yeah.
That too. So I think that was one of the hurdles that I had to get over. It's like, oh, this is really uncomfortable. And just living in that uncomfortable space and because you've got to let go of the old to let the new come in. Well, how are you going to feel in between the old and the new? Weird.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
So
exactly.
Was feeling weird. just get weird.
Yeah.
I made me some tie-dye shirts and just get weird with it,
Did you make that?
Yes, I did.
Oh my gosh, that's super cool.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you got to show that to Carol. Well, she'll see it on the video. She's going to love that. Oh yeah, she's been making these pretty cool t-shirts too. That's really well done, my dear.
Well, I don't like the clothes out there. I like certain colors, so I like to. If I can't find the colors, I'll try to make it myself. But
Yeah,
I had
that
a
is
girl mention
awesome.
though, I was out messing around with this stuff called rip dye. And
Yeah.
oh my gosh, if you don't set that in the cloth real good, then it just starts dyeing your other clothes into all these weird colors. So I have some strange clothes now. So I'm
Very
gonna
colorful.
I'm gonna go back to what I was doing before. But yeah, this shirt came out really nice.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
It I've got so many compliments on the shirt, but I dyed it twice. You tie it, then you put the color on it, then you tie it again, and then put the black on it. But you have to do it a certain way so that the colors don't bleed together. It
Wow.
was a mind bender, but this was my
Very
favorite
cool.
one that I came up with. A lot of people like this one. I sold a bunch of them too. It was fun. Wow, that was hard though. I know it's not a simple thing. It's not.
Yeah, I bet. I mean,
So yeah, when you're trying to get used to, living your life in a new way, and you finally have gotten tired of all the dysfunction, and because all the cultures that we all came from, they're all dysfunctional. They all are. And there are pockets here and there where people are functioning correctly and they understand, you know, things, and they've been taught things, and there are places like that, but they're few and far between, especially here in the South. They had it all twisted around everything, that real strict Southern Baptist, um, dogma, and everybody was just, that's how they believe, and it's like, no, you don't get to believe the way you believe, you must believe the way we believe, and it was all that going on.
right.
It's just dysfunctional. So just, you know, start doing, figuring out where your focus is, and then start focusing in ways to get the things you want. And then when that starts bringing you things that are uncomfortable for you because you're not used to it, just go with it. Just
Right.
learn from it and be
Yeah.
open to it. And there are people that need certainty and they need the sameness, they need routines. But the thing about that is, if your whole day is spent doing routines, then you're not really living life. You're not really living. You're just in a pattern of behavior
Right.
that's just a routine, right? And I'm not saying routines are bad. I think routines are good. Like I have little routines here and there, to get exercise in, and you have to eat, so you got to make food to do that. There's just those things. But then all the rest of it, give yourself some leeway to just, you know, do what you like, and that's where a lot of us get stuck too. We've been doing what
Mhm.
everybody else wants us to for so long, we don't even know what we like anymore.
No. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Okay. I,
find something, just do something. Pick anything. Like I picked like tie-dye and some other things. And then I would start doing it. And if I didn't like it, I wouldn't do it. Then the things that I did like, I kept doing. Like the things I did like was the study of reality. That's one of my favorites. So I just kept doing it, right? And it has its perks along the way, right? But I have to make myself stop thinking, right? You don't want to do this all day long every day for hours. It'll wear you out, right? So I let
right.
myself do it a few hours a day, and I love it. And the bits and pieces I come up with that others can use, I slide them that way. And then bits and pieces that I can use, helping people and you and doing other things with, and that's what I've been doing. It's just finding what you like and then doing it. And because when you're
Okay.
doing what you love, it's not called work anyway. I'm not saying right this minute,
Right.
but just that's a general thing to think about when you're going through this work of trying to change your reality and change your world for something that you want it to be.
Okay. So, getting back to, like, you go for your walks and you do your stretching. And so I guess my question again, I have to go back to this because I want to understand. So there's certain things that we have to do for our avatar though. So that's where I guess I'm going, so if I've got this weird stuff going on, is it maybe it's not just only, well, it is shifting my focus away from not all of the fear and the, creating all the stress and stuff like that. But if there's constraints, So if we have to exercise, and that's in the rule set. So, and we've already rendered some of this stuff, like, okay, because I was like, well, maybe I should go for some kind of, I mean, is this making sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess that's where I'm kind of stuck, because I'm like, it's shifting the focus, but we still have to do the exercise, right? Like it's healthier for us to do the exercise.
I was laughing this morning because I think I talked about this whole thing about we have to do things for the avatar. The avatar needs to move, has to have a movement. And I was thinking about it. It's like, I think that we've shot ourselves in the foot over the whole thing. Even the word exercise. Nobody likes it. And then,
Well, it's an
no,
attachment to it, right?
listen, it gets better. Exercise. Then the first thing that comes up is the feeling of guilt. I'm not doing enough. I'm not taking care of myself. Da, 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 da. And that's why, out of that guilt and all that stuff, you get to the first year. Okay, I'm making a resolution. I'm going to start doing this, right? Okay, the first day. The first thing you think, I need to go exercise. Then you feel guilty. Then it's like, I haven't been doing what I'm supposed to do. So the next thing, what you've got is a big bucket of negative energy and negative thoughts around something that could be as simple as, oh, you know what? I love when I feel good. So I'm going to put my shoes on. I'm going to go walk. And it's going to be fun.
Right.
I'm going to walk and I see the birds and it's a lovely day and I'm going to enjoy myself. See how different that feels than,
well, yeah,
it's and
yeah, I mean, definitely.
Because I think, and I've noticed a big change in my health when I started walking. And walking, I think, is better than anything you can do. Because I think that, it's an easy thing. You're not stressing yourself, especially for traumatized people that have had a lot of stress throughout their lives. They don't have a lot of energy for strenuous exercise anymore, especially at 60. But what I noticed is when I walk, I'm okay. And I can go long distances. I can go 3-5 miles. I can walk that in a day. And just doing that gives you everything you need. And you only have to do it 3 days a week. And then when I think about it, I'm just going for a walk. And there's no exercise on it. I need to exercise.
Right.
I haven't done what I'm supposed to be doing. My avatar's not healthy in these ways because that's where that IP address has been. And I don't think that, again, it's dysfunctional. We don't have a healthy relationship with what is good for us. I don't think it's good for us to go and stress out about it, push ourselves, shove ourselves and feeling bad the whole time. Then you get on this thing and you're beating your legs to death, running or whatever. I don't think that that's good for us. I think it just tires you out. I think it does help in some ways, maybe your heart or some other things. But I think what's better for us is when we're doing anything we're doing with a glad heart. I'm glad to be here. Oh, and I even put little things in. It's like, oh, I'm going to go on my walk. I'm going to have fun. Something funny is going to happen, And when I think about it like that, and it usually happens. I was doing a video and these two people rolled up on one of those carts. And I just thought that was hilarious, And it was like, just changing your focus on what you're focused on, how you're thinking about things. Because how you're thinking about it is how it's going to show up.
Right. But so, yeah, no, I get all of that for sure. It's like, I mean, exercise, see, that's not a word that bothers me. So it just depends on the individual and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which, because we have attachments, we all have different attachments to different things, right?
Right.
So I guess I'm more curious about, like, then why, if it's just an information system and you're just shifting your focus, then why do you have to walk? I mean, I don't mind going for walks. I don't mind doing that stuff. I appreciate it and stuff. And I'm not asking, I'm just curious how it operates. I'm just curious how it functions.
It's probably a computer program where the program is, It's a program that has IP addresses in it, and one of the IP addresses is humans. Okay, there's going to be humans here. They're going to mate and procreate. See, this is all the coding in it. They're going to mate and procreate, and then they're going to make more humans, and they're going to learn things, and they're going to learn to form groups, and they're going to learn how to, do this social animal thing. And I think it's just part of the computer template, like a program, like a pattern, And so if you make a lot of patterns and then you push the run button, right? Well, then things start happening, people, are connecting their energy to the avatar, right? Now, okay, you've picked this one to do, and it's a continuation of what you've done before, probably, right? Because it's just a pattern, and it's just a narrative that you're writing along with everybody else writing their narratives, right? So it's just this whole circus of narratives within it. It's like that Ezekiel's wheel, wheels within wheels, it's just patterns within patterns, And I think that it's part of the computer program that is probably so far advanced that it would blow our minds if we knew exactly what this thing was. And I'm not saying we can't ever know. I think that, the especially the parts that are invisible, right? I think that's going to be harder to figure out, right? And things that are visible, then it's going to be easier to figure out,
Oh,
So
for sure.
what we end up doing is just kind of scrambling around the dark. So we haven't gotten the right information because it wasn't at church, and it wasn't at school either. I went to school forever, 6 years. Wasn't there either. There was just more. I was just piling stuff on top of what I had, and it wasn't working. The foundation was bad, and so the whole thing didn't work. And then when I went to work, I was like, wait a minute, this isn't what I thought it would be. And so then you got all that stuff. So it's just a process of elimination, Okay,
Yeah.
that didn't work that way, and it worked this way. And I think that it's all just an experiment. It's an experiment with attitude. And we're in it, and we're here doing it. And so I'm just trying to do my best and, decode what I can and understand what I can with my limited awareness and, understanding and move forward in the most positive way I can find. Because I know that if I've been all down the negative road, I know what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay. So now, because now what about the collective, right? I was talking with my sister and I was like, because like you were just sharing, this is like we haven't been given all the information. So this stuff is actually it's pretty new information, right? And so we're just cracking it open, and Tom's been sharing it for a long time, but it's slowly eking its way into some mainstream stuff, which is amazing. But so within that, I was wondering, like, so we're like the pioneers per se. So as we bust through this stuff and we do a good job, and will it help? Because I have this intent, and I hope it's true that it works like that, that as we evolve and we release our fear and we become love, that is fed into the collective so that it actually makes it just a little bit easier for the rest of
it's fed into the collective, and it's fed into everybody that knows you, because they're all connected to your IP address also.
Okay.
So it's
so
like
fascinating.
you send a group email out.
Okay.
And especially those that are closest to you. See, that's they're connected to you. That's why a lot of times that intuition that says I should call this person. Well, really, you've gotten the information deeply within you that they're thinking about you, or something they're concerned about, or something's happening, or whatever. So you're getting an email that you don't know you're getting. You just have this feeling of, I should do this thing. So yeah, I do think that the work we do here, in our evolutionary process of waking up or awakening or whatever's going on here, I do think that it is a huge deal. I think it's one of the things we're here to do. And I think that it affects everybody, not just you.
Yeah. So when you were going through your releasing of the fears and stuff like that, did the people that you were connected to, did they like distance themselves, or how did that work? If they're, if they're connected to your IP address, what were they picking up on from all the turmoil per se of releasing the fears and moving out of that into the place of, you know, um, more understanding and love?
Well, that's going to be a little different because, I was estranged from my family for 8 years. Let me get this off here right quick. There we go. I was estranged from my family for 8 years. And, you know, as I was getting rid of some of my fear, I realized that some of that fear was all wrapped up in my family dynamic and all that, because it was all dysfunctional like everybody else. So, you know, I had already gotten into the process of working through my fears and doing that work before I reconnected with my family. But by the time I reconnected with my family, I had got a couple of good chunks out of the way, especially the fears I had around my family. Because I kind of started there because that's where it started, right? That's where the dysfunction starts. So I kind of worked a lot in those areas. So by the time I reconnected with my family, I already had some of those fears down, and it made an instant change in the dynamics. Okay. When I walked up, this is after we'd seen each other a few times. Okay, yeah, Cheryl's back. She's not mad anymore. So I'm back in the family again. Here we are. Yeah. And my little sister walked up to me and she looked at me and she goes, "You're just different." She goes, "What have you been doing? You're just different." And what she was pointing at was that I felt different. My vibe was different because I wasn't mad.
Yeah.
And she feel different because, I wasn't the golden child. and because I was so different, because I was a right brain intuitive, most of my family are left brain logical. We were so different. My mom, she used to laugh about it. I was born in Roswell, New Mexico, and she used to tell me, this is what she'd say: "Yeah, the mothership dropped that one off over there. I don't know what's going on there."
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And it was just because I was a right brain intuitive. I was an artist. And, it's that thing. What is an artist doing? Who knows? Nobody knows what an artist is doing until you see the end of it or whatever, Then it still may not make sense. But, an artist has a completely different perspective than someone who's left brain and logical. It's a completely different perspective, but it's not, it's not bad. The artists were the shamans. They helped people work through things, and they had a big job in the tribe. The creative right brains, they were like the alarm system when something wasn't going well. If something was happening and everybody's going to die, well, they could see it first. They could see through a lot of the layers and just get to the information before everybody else could. And it's like, oh, there's a whole thing trying coming over that hill over there, and we need to do something now, because they sensed it. They could feel it, and then they got the data. Oh, we're being invaded by, a neighboring tribe. So the artist had its role in the tribe, but in the current society, it's just the artist just has to make their own way because, you can't really, this place is kind of tooled for the left brain to function in. It's not made for the right brain creative artist. So you have to just kind of make your way through it. And some people can, adapt and work in the system. Others can't. And I was one of those. So I just found a really creative job to do in the nursing field. I was a home health nurse, so I didn't work at the hospital. I drove around to everybody's house. It was kind of fun. I felt like I was on a mission to go visit everybody that day, you know. So it was. I found something that I could do within it. But
Okay.
me and my mother, she was just so we were on completely two different pages. She couldn't understand what I was doing. Some of the things I was doing was making her nervous, you know, because in her world, you do things a certain way. This is just how you do it. Well, that's not how I did things. I didn't follow patterns. I created patterns. I would do new things. I would do it. I'd learn how to do something, then I'd find a new way to do it. Well, that's
Yeah.
not how left brains are. So what I was doing was making her nervous. And when it would make her nervous and anxious, then you know, she's like, you need to get in line.
Yeah.
Get up off that pavement where you just put all that chalk at and get over here and, you know, do something productive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Artists sometimes don't look real productive, but they're just not designed to be like that. That's not how they function. And, you know, there's a lot of companies now that they've learned how to utilize the right brain, and they've made like departments for them. And I thought, oh, that would be so fun. Go work at a company where everybody's left brain. See, the left brains, they keep everything going here. It's vital to have them. Gotta have that. They keep everything running and everything working right. If the artists were doing that, nothing would get done. Everybody would have a lot of fun, but nothing would get done. So it was just a lot of that going on, which because I had low self-esteem, I misunderstood her concern as, well, dang, she likes everybody else, but she doesn't like me, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that kind of pitted us against each other, and then our horns got locked and we got stayed mad at each other for a long time. And so, you know, once I kind of figured out what was happening and, you know, I had some help. And Tom Campbell, he was explaining me some things about left brain, right brain, and you know, and I think he said, so, oh, so the right brain, they're just different. He goes, yeah, it's very different. I was like, it's all right. I know I've been different my whole life, so you know, you just get used to it. But you
Yeah.
know, it's using my difference in a positive way. And once I learned
Mhm.
what was causing her to become uncomfortable and figured it out, then I was able to kind of balance that out a little bit to where they weren't getting freaked out, because it's not just her, it's her and my sister too, right? Now they both worry if I don't do it a certain way. And you know, their thing was, well, we'll just check in on this group page that we have every day so that we know you're okay.
Oh, wow.
Like,
Okay.
you know, when I was overseas for 3 months, you know, and it was like, well, we just
Oh,
want to
gotcha.
know if you're okay. And I said, I'm 61 years old. I'm okay. I've made it to here. But the way that I live and I function in my world, in their world, that's just it's going to end in disaster. And
Mhm.
sometimes it does, but most of the time it doesn't, you know. I have never asked them for any help with anything. So I think that, you know, at this point, they should know that. But see, they don't know, because what they do is the left brain, they go through their details and they tend to worry. They tend to worry about things. And that's where they get to worrying, and then they get mad at me because they're tired of worrying, right? So then I figured out, oh, I need to do these things, and then they calm down. So there's not that tension there. But going from, you know, getting rid of your fears, and then you realize that when people are upset, that it's about them. See, my mom's getting upset wasn't about me. Had nothing to
Right.
do with me. It was just a huge misunderstanding because of the way her perception works and the way my perception. It's the same thing as, okay, you got a family of lawyers and this doctor and lawyer, he wants his son to go into the same line of work and he will. Well, the son is a really talented artist. See, you better put that guitar down and stop that and get over here and go to college and do what you need to do to see it's that thing.
Right.
So parents aren't real thrilled when they find out one of them is an artist. They're just not real thrilled with it because it's scary. But then there's other artists, that just do super well here, you know,
Right.
authors and, philosophers and, you know, there's been many, many artists that do really well here and they can, do one thing and change a lot of things in this world for the better.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
so, once you figure out kind of what's going on, then, you can figure out estrangements and things like that. And the process of, once you start getting rid of your fears, it changes your world and everybody around you. It's just how it works. And then once you get all that worked out, then you're just dealing with regular stuff, instead of all of this pain, all of this anger, then you're just dealing with the day to day. It's like, oh, I'm gonna come visit you at such and such, working out when you're gonna go visit. It becomes a lot
Yeah.
easier. I don't think family is ever easy, right? Life's not easy. So family's not easy either. But when you do this work for yourself, it becomes easy for you to be able to help them. Because they may still be stuck in their fear,
Right.
right?
Right.
Yeah, and I didn't go home and say, you know what? All y'all just got a bunch of fear, and that's why you're acting like this. Don't do it.
Yeah, I
No.
can see not doing that. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
that's
no, I get it.
when you change you, then it changes how everybody interacts with you. And when your fear comes down, other people can sense it and feel it in you. So then everywhere you go, people are more inclined to talk to you, more inclined to interact with you because they don't feel that wall of fear hit them when you walk up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why it popped. Um, this was on the one of the emails for the global healing thing,
Yeah.
and it's unplug from your thoughts, unplug from the daily grind of your thoughts. And it's about stopping the internal dialogue, clearing the chatter in our minds.
Yeah.
And I thought that was like freaking amazing. I couldn't make it. I can't. Um,
Well, it's
but
just kind of how meditation will stop you from going through that constant chatter and bouncing around. I think that music does the same thing too. Anything you focus on, meditation, if you just go sit. Don't do anything. Just sit there. Because then you
yeah.
can kind of see what you're thinking or hear yourself think.
But I just love how it was written because it's very helpful. It's like you had said, I don't know which time or if it was just when we were conversing, that as the fears get cleared out, it actually there's room for obviously new information. And so that's what he says here: letting go of one thing always allows room for another. Once we become aware of and see how much processing power our internal dialogue takes up, we can then choose to put those resources to a more efficient and important task. Data
Yeah,
can now come It can come in with less of your reality / belief filter being applied to it. I just, it's like, it's really, really cool.
yeah,
So,
it is. It is cool. And then, when you really get control of your mind and it's not just running on automatic full pilot, when you're actively, guiding your focus in the way that you want your life to be, then you'll see that shift in reality that people want. It's just these all these concepts are new, and I think that's just what it's going to take. Just people talking about it and talking about their experiences,
yes.
and not just saying it and then go live your life. No, saying it over and over and over again, because once that's how it gets into the being level all the way in, is through repetition. That doesn't make
Yeah.
it that way. It's a new IP address, right? So
Mm-hmm.
now you're putting something new and different into this new IP address, and you keep focusing on that, and my health, my recovery was an IP address that I put a lot into for a long time, you know.
Yeah.
And so it was just a matter of time that it was going to do something because I'd been working on it, and I really wanted to heal and 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 grow out of the dysfunctional state that I was in.
Yeah.
And I think you're the same. I think we're all similar here. We get
Yeah.
tired of feeling bad.
You do. And I mean, I don't like, obviously it depends on the level of fear that you have. But so it's just going to be a lot harder for some of us. But it is pretty fascinating how you get into this, and then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that. And so you're seeing like the intricacies of your own behaviors and your own thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
and the interconnection of, oh, it really is connected to that fear,
Mm-hmm.
So it's really fascinating.
Yeah. And that was one of the things that I had to train myself to do when I did have a negative emotion, was to stop what I was doing and figure out what the fear underneath there was. Because
Yeah.
your ego, it can trick you. It'll tell you that you're fine. It lies to you. And so I would feel that negative emotion, and I was like, no, Cheryl, you just are feeling this way because you really wanted to help that person over there, and they're not really warming up to it. And then I was like, well, no, wait. Why did I want to help that person over there?
Right.
Why? And then you just keep why?
Oh,
And it will take
exactly.
you right down to, oh, I need them to like me so that I can feel adequate.
Yes.
And then you catch yourself finding the same one with different scenarios. Oh,
Yes.
it's that one again. I feel inadequate. There it is again. Because somebody may have done something
Yeah.
that just triggered that inadequacy in me. And see, it had nothing to do with that other person, even if they are rude. It still created an
Yeah.
inadequacy in me. Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll find the same fears, and they cluster around the same things. We have a fear of inadequacy, that we're not good enough, that we're not worthy of love. Well, we require love for life. It's a requirement, pretty much. Because look at little tiny babies, if they don't get attention, your focus, which I think is love, they don't get your focus and your attention, they get this thing called failure to thrive. Why? If they even tested, they did experiments. They fed the baby through a wire. I think they did it with monkeys, not human babies, but they were feeding the thing, but because it wasn't being pitched in and loved on, the thing got sick anyway, even though it was getting the required nutrition that it needed. So see, we have these things that we need. We need these things. And if we don't have them, then it creates these fears and dysfunction in us. And then you have this fear, oh, I'm not good enough, I'm inadequate, people aren't going to like me, and they're going to be mean to me and hurt my feelings. And I'm not going to get what I need. And I'm not going to get to play on the basketball team. I don't get to because they don't like me. I'm not good enough. It must be me. So you've got that fear. Then you've got, the fear of death, and that one will take you through some changes, because then you've got this fear of death dictating everything you do. Next thing you know, you become, it's not hypochondriac, but where every day that's all you're thinking about. Oh, I need this, I need that, I need this supplement, I gotta do this, gotta do that, because all it's coming from is a fear of death. It's just coming out of that.
Right.
Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
fear that, oh, no, I'm not gonna go fly on that airplane. Nope, not gonna ride in that bus. It's gonna crash. See, fear of death is controlling your behavior again. And so you've got
Mm-hmm.
fear of death, the fear of uncertainty, and fear of the unknown. We have those. So they usually cluster around those same human fears that we all have at the very base level. But as the fear is happening, it's happening in experiences, and so it's not real apparent that that's what's happening there.
Right.
You
Yeah.
buried it. It's like, no, I'm just being nice because I want, because I'm a good person, and that's just what I do.
Hmm.
And we've been all through that. Wait, you're not good? No, not all the time. Yeah.
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 That whole love thing. I mean,
Just
definitely.
that belief that you're not that you're not lovable. We all are lovable. Because believe me, for every person here, there's somebody somewhere that'll love that person. Everybody's lovable.
And, and it's, I think too, that when you haven't received it and you don't trust that it's there, that fear kind of shuts you out. You allow, you close off the opportunities because it's the fear of actually, you're already experiencing it, but the fear of actually knowingly experiencing it. So I don't know. I'm not saying it properly. Excuse me.
Yeah.
But yeah, building those walls.
And then that isolates you. And then you can't be in relationship, which is where it will bring this stuff up for you to get rid of.
Yes,
Because
exactly.
if you then you're just going to trick yourself. But when you're in relationship, there's nothing you can do. Wherever you go, there you are. And then in that relationship, that person's going to trigger. See, it's got to be triggered. So you need somebody that's going to trigger it for you so that you can see it. Oh, there you are, you little booger.
Yeah, and definitely the interactions, right? I mean, that's why we're here.
That's why we're here.
Oh man.
And we did a lot today. And we covered a lot.
I need a nap.
I need a nap too. We covered, the new little thing about, IP addresses, and so and that focus, the actual focus is probably you, and where you focus, that's where your power is. And focus has power. And so helping to strengthen your focus is just going to be helpful for you. And just get you a journal and write down, where is your monkey mind? What IP addresses, what states of mind are you bound up in a fear? What's the IP address? Are you focusing on a particular family member, and why? Just look at those different IP addresses and see what you got going on there. And that's what I've been doing. I think it'd be a good exercise. I'm still going to do it like the rest of the day and for a couple of days just to see. I kind of got back what I was thinking I was going to get back. I kind of know where I kind of, hang out in my focus. So,
right.
So, I think that it's good to keep sharing, and I don't know everything. I have no idea. I just
for sure.
So I think that I really enjoyed this last week of thinking putting in a little different perspective of how am I, Googling these places? How am I putting, these IP addresses in, and then it's taking me to this thing to where all that stuff is, So
right.
Just keep working on it. You've come a long way. Really, what you need to do is go back and look and watch the video. Go back and watch the first video. You've become a lot calmer since then. Because it happens so little every day over time, it's hard to see it. It's like, it's like you've got to test it, taste the pudding, see what it's like now. And you have a document, it's documented for you because you've been coming on here and having courage to talk about this stuff. Go back and listen to the first one. Don't judge yourself. Just go look.
No.
And
right.
Between then and now, I can see improvement.
Well, today I'm just completely drained. Like I've got no juice. That's how it's kind of been. But yeah, I mean, I think that because of all of the work that I put in prior to just to understanding and finally getting to a place of, before I got divorced and before I moved out, and finally just getting to a place of recognizing, oh my God, I have a ton of fears. Just like it's like, and that's how I've been living. That was a revelation in and of itself. It's just that recognition, and now the last, now just putting that stuff to work of actually releasing it and moving out of them. That
Get yourself
is some,
out of that groove. You know, you
yeah.
hit that groove and the needle keeps going down on that record player. And then just getting out of that groove and then catch yourself when you're back in and get yourself back out and you'll bounce. And then over a little bit of time, it doesn't take that long. Over a little bit of time, you keep focusing there, then you'll get out of that groove you don't want to be in, and then you'll start creating the groove you do want to be in.
And so it's a testament to seriously what you have come through. Like that is, I mean, I can speak from it because I mean, not your experience, from my own, that it is not like, it's not for the faint of heart, man, because it's real. It's freaking, you feel every morsel of it. So
The
I'm
struggle is
saying
real, but it's so worth it to get
it,
to
right.
yeah.
I'm just going like that. And like you stuck to it. Man, you really got through some heavy, heavy stuff. So I'm saying kudos, and that's amazing. And you have such a positive, seriously, you have such a good positive vibe outlook. And I appreciate it. And I appreciate these conversations,
See what we were just talking about. See, you do the work that helps others. See, it's
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
that's how it does it. Because when you're positive, and people like to be around positive people. But
Mhm.
when it's a disaster and just bombs blowing up everywhere, well, I'm not standing there laughing, going, "Ooh, look at that bomb! Don't you like that?" That's not how it works.
Right.
Talk to us, and all hands on deck. What we doing here, and work through that. And then when the crisis is averted, then go back to being positive and staying positive.
Yeah.
And I've got people sending me messages, stay positive. Tom sent that message the other day. It was really sweet. I was like, well, okay then, since you say so.
That's funny.
All right, well, let's end this here. Thank you, everybody, for coming and hanging out with us as we talk and work through these
Yeah.
things. And Pamela, you just have courage and it's been almost a month now, so you are resilient. So you are going to get there. And you're determined, just like I was, and you will.
Yeah.
You're going. So get ready. Get ready. Get ready for the ride. Because it's not going to be what you have now. It'll be a lot better.
Awesome.
Yeah. So take care, and we'll see you. And until next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.